Hey everyone, I'm out here in the garage, and what we're going to be doing today is continuing on with the cylinder head removal on the 2008 Acura MDX. So stay tuned. So if you're new to the channel, just want to welcome you here, and hopefully you'll consider subscribing if you like what you see. Also, check out Car Apprentice on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I post lots of pictures and videos on those platforms before I post anything on YouTube. And occasionally I'll post things on those platforms I don't post on YouTube. Also, check out the website at carapprentice.com. And don't forget to hit the like button if you like this video. So I thought I'd have just 3 videos of removing the cylinder heads on the 2008 Acura MDX, but it appears we're going to have more. So I'm just going to keep posting. In reality, I am actually about 2 hours away from having the cylinder heads off, so the videos are going to lag a little bit behind that, but there is a ton of footage, and there's a lot of steps to getting the cylinder heads off, so I don't want to shortcut anything. So without further ado, let's just continue on. Alright, so we're going to start removing the intake manifold, and the first thing I want to take off is this duct here. Might as well go ahead and take this off while I'm here. This connector, push down and slide it off. There we go. That's on this bracket, that's why I just decided to take it off now. Okay, so I need to get this breather hose out, but I want to have the duct loose so I have a little bit of movement. So this little screw here, I believe is a 5.5 millimeter. I know a 5 won't fit, and I know a 6 won't fit, so I'm guessing it's 5.5. You can also use a screwdriver. This is a #1 Phillips. The problem with using these is that over time, this starts to strip in here. Just kind of turn it slowly. No, a little force on it. Okay, so I go a little bit further here. That's probably good enough right there. That is loose. Okay, there's a second one right over here for this clamp. That should be good enough. You don't want to take it all the way out. Okay, so this is probably not necessary, but to make this a little bit easier to get out, I'm going to disconnect this. I like to always create a little bit of space for myself, so it doesn't take more than a minute or so to do this. And then I'm going to take this top off. So there's a bunch of 8 millimeters. There's one here, one over here, one down here, and then the one here is broken. And those don't actually come out, they just loosen. Okay, so those are all loosened. And like I said, the fourth one is right here. And I'm just going to take this out. Alright, so both these clamps are loosened, this one and this one. So now we are going to take this off. Actually, what I'm going to do first, I think, go ahead and slide this off first. There we go. And then I'll just take this out of here. This breather hose. Slide it back that way. Should be able to get it off now. There we go. Wow. Did not want to let go. So there that is. I'll just put the clamp back on here so I don't lose it. Right back on here. And I'm just going to put this back on so I don't get any junk in there. Okay, so we're going to remove this PCV hose right here. So just come in with some pliers, move this back that way. And this is where the hose pliers come in handy. So you can get those on like this, kind of break this loose. There we go. So I did a video on these pliers, a set of these. I'll put a link to that video. If you don't have a set of these pliers and you work a lot on cars, get a set. These save you a lot of time. Okay, so I'm going to take this brake booster hose off right back here. Slide that way. This one's actually a little looser. That should come right off. There we go. Okay, then there's a vacuum hose right here. Just pull that off. Alright, so then there's a manifold actuator right here. I'm going to disconnect this connector. Just push this tab down. Slide it off. Okay, so there's an evap canister hose we need to disconnect. And so I got some pliers. Just going to reach underneath here, like so. There we go. Okay, slide the clamp off. It's a tough one to reach. Alright, so sometimes you got to be a little smarter than the pliers. And so what I do is I reposition the pliers back here instead of trying to reach around this part there. Just going to pull it off this way. There we go. That's much better. Alright, so hopefully you can see that. There is a connector right here, this big one. That's the throttle actuator connector. And the tab is on this side, this opposite side here where my index finger is. So I'm just going to squeeze and then pull it off, hopefully. There we go. So I squeezed with this hand and pushed it off with the other hand. There it is right there. So I'm going to disconnect these two hoses right here, this one and the one below it. So I've got some pliers. Try to get in here with that. I took the battery out so you can see a little bit easier too. Some of these things are not in the most convenient spots at all. Okay, so I was able to twist around by hand, and now I'm just going to try to pry it loose here. Okay, so hose pliers again. Get in here. Grab onto that and just kind of twist it a little bit. Break that free. There we go. It's coming off here. I don't know what's in there. Let me grab a paper towel. I'm not sure what's coming out of that hose there. Just take a little bit of rust on there, that's all. Okay, so that one's off. That is a coolant hose, I believe, too, so just be careful to not let the coolant run all over the place there. Might want to plug that with something. Alright, so I just grabbed a bolt. I'm just going to put that in here. Plug this up. And then I'll slide the clamp back up. There we go. Okay, so we're going to work on the lower hose. Pull this off. There we go. And I'll put a bolt in that one too. And in the hole, nice tight fit. Not too tight, you don't want it too tight where it expands the size of the hose too. And there's that one. So that one's all set. Okay, so we're going to remove the intake manifold cover, and there are a bunch of bolts here all over the place. We need to loosen those bolts in 2 to 3 steps, and there's a specific sequence. So I'll post that sequence, and I'm just going to get going. So I'm just going to crack each one loose first. loose. We're just going to repeat the pattern. We can probably do them all by hand now. So here's number one. Turn it a couple times. Now I'm just going to take all the bolts off. Alright, I'm just going to pry this off now. Hopefully. Doesn't want to come off here, it looks like. Trying to be careful not to break it, of course. There we go. Just gradually loosen that up. Take this off. So there's a gasket. And we've got some oil in here too. That's interesting. Alright, so we're going to remove the intake manifold now. There are a bunch of bolts and nuts there. There are 9 of them total. Again, we're going to do this in 2 or 3 steps. And I'll show the order. And I'm going to proceed. Number one. So we'll go one more step. I'm just going to go a couple turns on the second step. Okay, so that's all 9. You can see it's kind of loose now. So I'm going to go ahead and take them off now. Just going to take them all out now in no particular order since they're already loose. Oops. Go. I'll just lift this out of here now. Alright, so I'm going to remove the coil packs. There's 3 in the front and 3 in the back. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and unclip these. There's one. And don't pull on the wire, by the way, too. Just pull on the connector. There's 3. So there are 10mm nuts. Get this out of the way here. Loosen those up. Alright, so I'll just spin these out by hand. Okay, then I'll pull them all out. Alright, so we're going to work on the back coil packs now. So the tab is on this side, so you press with your thumb. Take this out of here for a second. There we go. Yeah, sometimes the gloves can be a hindrance. Get out of our way. There's that one. Get all 3 of those off. Now just take the nuts off. The nuts are on the left here. This one I actually dropped. It's somewhere down in there, so I have to find that one. Hopefully I'll find it once I get the cylinder head off, but that loose. Get that loose. And then there's one over here. Like I said, I dropped that one, so I don't have to worry about that. I'll just spin this off. Hope I don't drop any of these other two. There's one. There's that one. And then the other one, to reach that is kind of tough. It's over here, right over here, right where my middle finger is. Right there. That's a tough one to reach. So you have to get in here between these hoses and try to get that one out. That's why I dropped it. So for this one, I would definitely get a magnet to get it out so you don't drop it. This one, you're going to have to kind of twist it on the way out so that it can clear a lot of these hoses back here. Let's see. Flip it that way. There we go. So the ear where the nut goes, I flipped it up. You can see the connector side is pointing that to the left. And turn it again. And out. Okay, so we're going to remove the upper and lower radiator hoses. It's very hard to see probably. They're right here. Take a picture of those. So on this one, the clamp is up over here, so I'm going to try to come in this way with pliers. Slide it that way. And this one, this is in the way, so I'm going to come in this way. I have to move this wire harness. So this green here, this green connector, there's a little tab, just lift up, take it off. Not that that's going to help us at all, but we'll try it. Yeah, that helps. Okay. So I'm coming right underneath here. I'm going to go this way. Grab onto that. Twist it around, and I'll pull it back this way. There we go. Alright, so I've got some channel lock pliers. I've also got a paper towel here. I'm going to wrap it around this just to protect the hose. See if I can get this off here. A little bit wider. I don't want to clamp it down too much. These are stuck on there. There we go, that one broke free. Okay, that one's loose. I'll try this one again. There we go. Wow, that is on there. So the thing I was trying to be careful of is inside here. You can see there's a metal pipe in there. I don't want to deform that pipe. Alright, you probably can't see anything that I'm doing, but I'm just going to gradually slide this off, hopefully here. Pull at the same time. There we go. Wow. Okay, that one's off. Jeez, that's tough. This outlet's a lot longer than I thought. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get this other hose off. This is a lower radiator hose. There's a vacuum hose right here that goes through the bracket on the radiator hose. I'm just going to take the hose out of the bracket, I think. There we go. All right, slide this clamp a little further back. It's right at the bend in the hose, so it's kind of in my way. Slide this back that way. Alright, now we should be able to get this off. That's off now. All right, so we are going to disconnect this fuel feed hose right there. It took me a second to figure this out, but basically I just took my thumb, pushed against this tab here, and then I got underneath here with a screwdriver and just flipped this little door down like that. Just pull that off like that. Just like the one up here, there's two little green tabs, one here and one underneath here. Just squeeze those together and you can pull this off. Just be very careful with that. You may want to also put a paper towel underneath there just in case there's some fuel in the line. So I'm going to do that real quick. I'll pinch there, and then pull on this end. There we go. Yep, there's a little bit of gas in there. So you may want to have a little ventilation while you're doing this too. Alright, so I'm going to remove the purge joint bracket, which is right here. In order to get that out, I think my strategy is going to be to take this off first, and then I'll go after this bracket. So there is a tab. I felt a tab underneath here. A lot of these Honda tabs, you just, instead of pressing, you push or you pull away. So I got a screwdriver. Come in like this. So I can find the tab. Kind of press it down and then slide this off. Like so. There that is. And now we have a lot more space to get to these two nuts underneath here. Lift this up out of the way. So these two nuts for that bracket, looks like they're 10 millimeters. Can reach underneath there. Take this off. And the second one, right next to it. And I'm just going to put this back on the bracket. So it was like that. So I don't lose this bracket. Set that aside. And it might not be a bad idea to put the nuts back on there too. There we go. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to disconnect the fuel injectors. There's 6 of them, of course. There's one. There's one more. And this one. There we go. And this one. Alright, so I'm going to disconnect the sensor, engine coolant temperature sensor. So right here on the where my index finger is, I'm going to use my thumb instead. Pull that off. Alright, so I'm going to disconnect the EGR valve right here. Alright, so I'm going to disconnect the rocker arm oil pressure switch, which is right here. It's on the back side. You got to pinch it. There we go. Wow. That's off. Alright, so I made the decision to just go ahead and disconnect everything, then show what I disconnected because it's really hard to get any shots in here. This is for the rocker arm oil control solenoid. I believe that's also called the VTEC solenoid. That is what this is right here. So that's connected way up above. It's that black connector back here. That's the oil pressure switch. And that connector is right here with the orange on it. Now that one, the tab snapped on it. I think it's probably because of all the heat over 15 years. So I'm hoping I can just put that back on, but I'll probably end up replacing that connector. Alright, so I need to disconnect the crankshaft position sensor connector right over here. So to do that, I got to remove some 10 millimeters. There's 3 of them. Oh, those are really tight.
right, and I'll just pull this out. Okay, and then there's a, right here is a tab right there. That's off there. And I'll just put the sensor back in now. I'll put the bolt back in. And the two nuts. Okay.